Hello, hello, can you hear me? It's wonderful to see you all, and thank you, Kristen, and thank you, Noreen, for offering us your generous welcome and shelter all these years. It's very meaningful. And it's wonderful to see a crowd. Most of you who know me know I don't really like a crowd, and I don't like parties, and I don't like standing up in front of people unless I can read every word I'm going to say. But these are our friends. I take it you're all our friends, and you stand in solidarity with us because there are many people who are quite unfriendly and very hostile to what we do, and who would likely say, what made you say that? And are you embarrassed to say that way? And don't say that. And how dare you say that? So all of you here wouldn't dream of feeling that. You'd likely feel happy to hear what you shouldn't hear. And Noon wants to stand in solidarity with people who are doing this terribly challenging work. And I found a wonderful quote in The American Scholar by Emerson today. He uses, of course, the pronoun he, and I decided to change it to she because I felt I could take that liberty, because it's so much more fun to read it that way. It comforts me personally. About this task: long she must stammer in her speech, often forego the living for the dead. Worst yet, she must accept how often poverty and solitude. She takes self-accusation, the faint heart, the frequent uncertainty and loss of time, which are the nettles and tangling vines in the way of the self-relying and the self-directed. So we're very proud here at Noon for all the brilliant contributors who struggle and suffer for their art. And we're especially gratified by the praise we received in the Times Literary Supplement from London. They gave us great attention and great respect and recognition, and we celebrate everybody who's been a part of that. And tonight we have more readers than we've ever had. We have Anya Yurchishin and Kim Chinkwi and Lincoln Michelle and Sarah Jaffe and Dylan Nice and Tao Lin. And if there's time, because some of these contributions are quite short, I'm going to read one of our favorite stories at Noon called The Awful Spark, which appeared last year. So first up is Anya Yurchishin. And she lives and teaches in New York City, and she told me to say, this is true. The story Anya, you'll hear from her, marks her very first appearance in Noon.
Thank you. The story I'm going to read is called A Dog Named Anya. I went to a barbecue, and the host had a dog named Anya, a German Shepherd, big and alert. I'm Anya, I said, maneuvering my case of beer so I could shake the host's hand. Anya, he said. Suddenly the dog was at his side. Anya, I said, like Tanya without the T. This is Anya. He patted her head. She licked his palm. Hi, Anya, I said. I'm Anya. She narrowed her ears and gave a high-pitched bark. Everyone in the backyard turned. Anya rounded the host as he talked to a woman. Anya licked her shin. "Ooh, I like you too," the woman said. "She is a great judge of character," the host said. "What's the dog's name?" the woman asked. "Anya," I said. "Anya." The host was standing with his hands on his flat hips. I followed his gaze to the picnic table, where Anya tongued a discarded piece of asparagus. "She won't let me walk her because she doesn't want to be away from the action. She has to be doing what everyone else is doing." "Oh, please," the woman said, turning back to the group. "She has to be doing what everyone else isn't doing." The host shrugged. "I just hope she doesn't shit in the yard." "You are not going to get any treats," the host said. I told the host I liked his party. "I like your party," I said. "Thanks for inviting me." "You're welcome." He scratched his ankle. "But I didn't actually invite you." I began gathering dirty plastic plates. "Don't worry about those," he said. "I want you to enjoy yourself." Then he left to tend to something else. Anya wandered about, tail high. "Come here," I snapped my fingers. The woman came up and put her hand on my shoulder. "Would you like to join the group?" "Are you feeling okay?" another woman asked. "Sure," I said. "We heard you threw up in the kitchen," said the other. "I'm much better," I smiled. "Thank you for asking." I complimented the host on his hair. Anya was between us, her tail bothering my rucked hem. "Who let you out?" the host said. "Who said you could come here and cause trouble?" "Anya," he called, and walked toward the house, slapping his leg. "Come inside, and I'll give you a treat." He was surprised to see me in his kitchen. "I like your kitchen," I said. Anya whined and pawed at the door. Then there was the loud thump of Anya giving up.
Wonderful. Kim Chinquy is a frequent contributor to Noon. She is the author of Oh Baby, out from Ravenna Press, and Pretty from White Pine Press. She lives in Buffalo, New York.
Thank you. I'm really honored to be here tonight and to represent Noon Magazine, which is just done wonders for me, and I love Diane Williams, and I want to thank you publicly for all your great work. And I'm going to read two pieces which were published in the last issue. The first one's called These Words, the World. She filled out forms, her hands sweating under the gloves from her mother. There was a worker. He told her she was wrong. Right here, he pointed, here. She said she got nervous when she came here, and the man said, "It's not like we'll arrest you." Someone sneezed, and he said, "Studebaker," and he handed her some numbers, plates. She went with her umbrella, slipping, and she drove to the highway like skates. Those fields, those trees were shiny, stiff, with tips. These words, the world, a lesson, misconception of her weapon. And the next piece is called Santa. It was at the grocer where once a man collapsed, then got up to say he was joking. She always remembered that, going back to get a radish. She got a half cart, chicken, she'd buy chicken. And in the meat aisle, she saw Santa. He pushed a cart, and Mrs. Santa stood half-carted too, and they said hello, like friends. "Hi," she said, and Mrs. Santa's pin said, "I love Santa." She spent time looking at champagne, went to the ice cream instead. She found the shortest line and emptied out her contents. She put the red stick behind her stuff to separate it from the persons behind her, and then looked again, and she saw Santa and his wife. "Not enough," Santa said. She figured he was charming, old, and she said she was not a good girl. Santa asked, "Are you responsible for salad? How about dinner?" "Sure," she said. She was new to the town. "Maybe I'll just hang out here for Christmas." He asked where she was from, and he knew the place. He said he traveled a lot. He said he was just doing something for the neighborhood. He said Mrs. Santa was nobody special. Thank you.
Lincoln Michel is co-editor of Gigantic and the book editor of the Faster Times. His writing appears in The Believer, the Oxford American, Mississippi Review, Book Forum, and elsewhere. His fiction appears for the first time in Noon this year.
Yeah, I just wanted to say too that I'm very honored to be up here. One of the first literary events I ever went to when I moved to New York was this reading, and I believe it was Sam Lipsyte and Rebecca Curtis and Deb Olin Unferth who are three of the best writers working. So, and I'm sure everyone here who's read Noon knows the extreme work that Diane puts into it, and I think it's very important work, and she does it brilliantly. And this story is called Air. I thought maybe Mary and I could move to the country without Charles. Mary and Charles had a good laugh about that. We were up in the big hills now, almost mountain country. Tall trees combed the sun around us. The roads were laid out like silly string. We kept noticing little holes in the signs, punched right through the metal. "Must be woodpeckers," Charles said. "These signs aren't made of wood," I said. "Woodpeckers don't peck metal." "They can peck anything they want," he said. The roads continued on up into the mountains. I wanted to see dinky towns pressed into the green fields. "Uh-oh," Mary said, "I need to use a powder room." "There's no powder room up here," I said. "The woods is your toilet." "Charles," Mary said. Charles shrugged and we pulled over. Mary gave us both a grimace and followed a slope out of sight. I tried to count how many days I'd spent like this when all I wanted was Mary and me by ourselves, naked and prodding. Mary and I could move out here and get our own little place with a porch and a wooden fence and a weather vane shaped like a giant eagle. "I think I'm going to go drain the hose, so to speak," I said. "Not in that direction," Charles said. "Oh, right, right." Mary and I came back up the slope. Mary's fists were tight as baseballs. "I've been violated," she cried. "What?" Charles said. We were standing around the mountaintop. "It's bad air up here," I said. "Makes you peck anything you can find." Thank you.